Attention to all seniors and disability benefit recipients. There's some important news you'll want to hear. A new round of payments is being sent out this week, beginning October 15th, for millions of Social Security recipients. These payments can be worth up to 5,018s and, yes, they're scheduled to go out this week, starting October 15th. And there's more. President Donald Trump is now reportedly considering ways to give an extra boost to millions of beneficiaries. The idea is that Social Security benefits could rise as a side effect of his new tariff policies. This isn't about a new stimulus check. It's a possible benefit increase that could impact Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA, RRB, and spousal pay recipients. So if you receive any of these benefits, keep watching until the end, because we'll walk through all the key details step by step. Let's start with the part everyone is talking about: a possible boost in benefits for millions of recipients. Social Security benefits, including SSI, SSDI, and spousal payments, might get a lift because of Trump's new tariffs. Recently, there's been growing talk that the president is considering a $2,000 rebate to help Americans struggling with higher prices, something being referred to as tariff rebate checks or tariff stimulus checks. But some analysts now believe this tariff revenue could instead be used to support an increase in Social Security payments, especially for seniors and people on disability benefits. Now, let's break down how Trump's tariffs might actually connect to your Social Security payments. The new tariff measures could indirectly affect the cost of living adjustment, COLA, the yearly increase that helps benefits keep up with inflation. The COLA for Social Security in 2026 will be based on this year's inflation numbers, and tariffs can influence those inflation levels. Usually, the Social Security Administration, SSA, announces the COLA adjustment around October 15th. But due to the ongoing government shutdown, the official announcement has been pushed back to October 24th. That means the official COLA increase for 2026 will be made public on that date. As of now, two main possibilities are being discussed. If the current calculation method stays in place, the Senior Citizens League, TSCL, predicts a 2.7% to 2.8% increase. That would mean an average raise of about $54 to $58 per month for most recipients. However, some lawmakers and advocacy groups are pushing to switch from the current CPI-E, Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, to CPI-E, which stands for the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. This alternative measure is designed to reflect the actual spending habits of older Americans, especially healthcare and housing, which make up a large share of seniors' expenses. If this new formula is adopted, the increase could range from $300 to $500 per month, a far more meaningful adjustment for retirees who are struggling to keep up with inflation. Now, let's talk about why tariffs could matter in this situation. Trump's 10% global tariff, along with additional tariffs on certain countries, has led to higher prices on many imported goods. This, in turn, increases overall inflation levels. And when inflation rises, the COLA also rises because it's tied to the cost of living index. So in theory, these tariffs could lead to a larger COLA increase, which would raise Social Security payments for more than 70 million Americans. That sounds like good news at first glance, but it's more complicated than that. Several financial experts have pointed out that while tariffs can push up benefit amounts, they also drive up prices at the same time. In other words, the same inflation that increases your Social Security check also makes your groceries, utilities, and medications more expensive. As one financial analyst explained, yes, checks could increase slightly, but the very same inflation that causes the increase is already reducing purchasing power before the check even clears. That's the difficult part, because when everything costs more, even a larger check doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Over the past few years, the cost of everyday items has risen sharply. A Gallup report shows that grocery prices have increased about 21% in just the last 3 years. Meanwhile, the projected COLA increase for 2026, between 2.7% and 2.8%, would barely make a dent compared to that level of inflation. This is why many retirees and advocacy groups are calling for the CPI-E formula. They believe it's a fairer system that would better protect seniors from the impact of rising prices. So if policymakers decide to use CPI-E instead of CPI-W, seniors could finally see an increase that reflects their actual cost of living, not just the general inflation experienced by workers. Let's now turn to the upcoming payment that's scheduled for this week, because that's what many recipients are waiting for. Starting October 15th, millions of Social Security recipients will be receiving their monthly benefit payments. These payments are crucial for over 70 million Americans who rely on them to cover their living expenses. The payment schedule depends on the recipient's date of birth. Those born between the 11th and 20th of any month will receive their payments on October 15th. People who began receiving retirement, spousal, or survivor benefits before May 1997, or who also get SSI, follow a different payment schedule and might receive their money earlier or later depending on their benefit type. SSI, or Supplemental Security Income, is a federal program that provides monthly payments to low-income individuals who are 65 or older, blind, or disabled. Now, about that $5,018 figure. Let's clarify what it means. That amount represents the maximum possible Social Security payment that certain recipients can receive, depending on their lifetime earnings and the age at which they retire. Not everyone receives this full amount. In fact, the average Social Security benefit recently passed $2,000 per month for the first time in history. While that milestone sounds encouraging, the reality is that it still doesn't keep pace with inflation. Seniors are finding it harder and harder to manage as the cost of essentials, like rent, food, and medical care, keeps climbing faster than their benefits. This is why many experts argue that the current COLA formula needs reform. The existing CPI-W doesn't accurately reflect how older Americans spend their money. Seniors spend more on medical care and housing, two categories that have been rising faster than average inflation. By switching to CPI-E, the adjustment would finally account for those real-world expenses, giving seniors a fairer increase each year. For example, under the current system, a 2.8% increase might add $55 a month to someone's check. But under CPI-E, that same adjustment could add $300 to $500, depending on income level and benefit type. This change wouldn't just help retirees. It would also make a meaningful difference for disabled Americans and those receiving survivor or spousal benefits. The conversation around this issue continues to grow, especially as tariff-related inflation becomes a larger factor in the economy. Supporters of Trump's tariff policies argue that the tariffs could help rebuild American manufacturing and bring more jobs home. Critics, however, say that those same tariffs make imported goods more expensive, raising costs for everyone, especially seniors living on fixed incomes. It's a complicated balance. Tariffs might boost COLA adjustments and technically raise Social Security checks, but they can also reduce real purchasing power through higher prices. In summary, here's what's happening. Payments worth up to $5,008 are being distributed starting October 15th to eligible Social Security recipients. The official COLA announcement for 2026 has been moved to October 24th due to the government shutdown. A 2.7% 2.8% increase is expected under the current system, but a switch to CPI-E could raise benefits significantly, possibly by $300–500 per month. Trump's tariffs are contributing to higher inflation, which may lead to a larger COLA, but that same inflation also makes daily expenses costlier. The average Social Security payment is now above $2,000. Yet many seniors still say it's not enough to keep up with today's economy. Many retirees are hopeful that real reform will finally happen. Whether it's through adopting CPI-E or finding new ways to strengthen the Social Security system for future generations, as inflation and living costs continue to rise. These upcoming changes, both the October 15th payments and the October 24th COLA announcement, will be critical moments to watch. No matter which direction things go, one thing is clear. Seniors and disability recipients deserve a system that keeps up with the real cost of living in America today.